Hello everybody and welcome to episode 4 on Act 2 of Othello at advanced level, A-level English literature, chiefly based on edXL's course but equally applicable to AQA and others. If you are thinking and feeling that this is having a discernible impact on your analysis of the play, your enjoyment, whether it be contexts or close analysis, please like, please subscribe, please hit the notification bell, please share with other people via social media, and we'll move toward other elements of analysis, context, socio-historics, critics, as we move forward.
What from the Cape can you discern at sea? Nothing at all. It is a high-wrought flood, I cannot twixt the heaven and the main descry a sail. Methinks the wind hath spoke aloud at land, a fuller blast ne'er shook our battlements. If it hath ruffianed up so upon the sea, what ribs of oak, when mountains melt on them, can hold the mortise? What shall we hear of this? A segregation of the Turkish fleet. For do but stand upon the foaming shore, the chidden billow seems to pelt the clouds, the wind-shaken surge, with high and monstrous mane, seems to cast water on the burning bear and quench the guards of the ever-fixed pole. I ne'er did like molestation view on the enchafed flood. If that Turkish fleet but be not ensheltered and embayed, they are drowned. It is impossible to bear it out. Youths, lads, our wars are done. The desperate tempest hath so banged the Turks that their designment halts. A noble ship of Venice hath seen a grievous wrack and sufferance on most part of their fleet. How? Is this true? The ship is here put in. A Veronese, Michael Cassio, lieutenant to the warlike Moor Othello, is come on shore, and the Moor himself at sea, and is in full commission here for Cyprus. I am glad in it. 'Tis a worthy governor. But this same Cassio, though he speak of comfort touching the Turkish loss, yet he looks sadly and prays the Moor be safe, for they were parted with foul and violent tempest. Pray heaven he be, for I have served him, and the man commands like a full soldier. Let's to the seaside, ho! As well to see the vessel that's come as to throw out our eyes for brave Othello, e'en till we make the main and the aerial blue an indistinct regard. Come, let's do so, for every minute is expectancy of more arrivants. Thanks you, the valiant of this and warlike isle, that so approved the Moor. Let the hands give him defence against the elements, for I have lost him on a dangerous sea. Is he well shipped? His bark is stout and his pilot of every expert and approved allowance. Therefore my hopes not submitted to death stand in bold cure. A sail, a sail, a sail. What noise? The town is empty. On the brow of the sea stand ranks of people, and they cry, a sail. My hopes do shape him for the governor. They do discharge their shot of courtesy. Ah, friends at least. I pray you, sir, go forth and give us truth who 'tis that is arrived. I shall. But, good lieutenant, is your general wived? Most fortunately, he hath achieved a maid that paragons description and wild fame, one that excels the quirks of blazoned pens,
and in the essential vesture of creation goes tire the ingener. 'Tis one Iago, ancient to the general, has had most favourable and happy speed. Tempests themselves, high seas and howling winds, the guttered rocks and congregated sands, traitors and steep to clog the guiltless keel, as having sense of beauty to admit their molten natures, letting go safely by the divine Desdemona. What is she? So we have to suspend our disbelief here that in this horrendous tempest of a storm, somehow Iago and Desdemona have overtaken Othello in battle. But there we are. She is that I spake of, our great captain's captain. Cassio speaks with admiration about Desdemona, referring to her as the captain's, Othello's captain. Whereas later, when Iago will go on to use a similar semantic field of her as the general's general, he's doing so in a misogynistic and derogatory way. Left in the conduct of the bold Iago, whose footing here anticipates our thoughts, a senite's speed, a senite, a half fortnight is, I think, what that means. I'd need to just double check and remind myself now, and I keep making errors. Great Jove, Othello guard, and swell his sail with thine own powerful breath, that he may bless this bay with his tall ship. Make love's quick pants in Desdemona's arms, give renewed fire to our extincted spirits, and bring all Cyprus comfort. In come Desdemona and Iago, along with Rodrigo and Emilia. Oh, behold, the riches of the ship is come on shore, you men of Cyprus. Let her have your knees. He kneels in greeting to Desdemona. Hail to thee, lady, and the grace of heaven behind thee on every hand, enwheel thee round. I thank you, valiant Cassio. What tidings can you tell of my lord? He is not yet arrived, nor know I aught but that he's well and will shortly be here. Oh, but I fear, how lost you company? The great contention of sea and skies parted our fellowship. A sail! A sail! But hark, a sail! They give their greeting to the citadel. This likewise is a friend. See for the news. Good ancient, you're welcome, welcome, mistress. Let it not gall your patience, good Iago, that I extend my manners. 'Tis my breeding that gives me this bold show of courtesy. Sir, she would give you so much of her lips as her tongue she oft bestows on me would have enough. He misogynistically implies that he considers his wife a nagger. Alas, she has no speech. I'faith, too much. I find it still when I have list to sleep. Marry, before your ladyship, I grant, she puts her tongue little in her heart, and chides without thinking. You have little cause to say so. Come on, you are pictures out of door, bells in your parlours, wild cats in your kitchens, saints in your injuries, devils being offended, players in your huswifery, and huswives in your beds. Oh, fie upon thee, slanderer! Nay, it is true, or else I am a Turk. You rise to play, and go to bed to work. He insinuates that she is promiscuous, that she is a prostitute, that she is a whore. You shall not write my praise. No, let me out. What wouldst write of me if thou shouldst praise me? Oh, gentle lady, do not put me to it, for I am nothing if not critical. Oh, come on, say. There's one gone to the harbour. Ay, madam, I am not merry, but I do beguile the thing that I am by seeming otherwise. Come, how wouldst thou praise me? I am about it, but indeed my invention comes from my pate as birdlime does from frieze. It plucks out brains and all, but by my muse labours, and thus she is delivered. If she be fair and wise, fairness and wit, the one's for use, the other useth it. Well praised. How if she be black and witty? If she be black and thereto have a wit, she'll find a white that shall her blackness hit. Worse and worse. How if fair and foolish? She never yet was foolish that was fair, for e'en her folly helped her to an heir. These are old fond paradoxes to make fools laugh in the alehouse. What miserable praise hast thou for her that's foul and foolish? There's none so foul and foolish thereunto, but does foul pranks, which fair and wise ones do. So Iago pitches his very derogatory misogyny about women as humour, and Desdemona takes it in good nature. Oh, heavy ignorance, thou praisest the worst best. But what praise couldst thou bestow on a deserving woman indeed, one that in the authority of her merit did justly put on the vouch of very malice itself? She that was ever fair and never proud, had tongue at will, and yet was never loud, never lacked gold, and yet went never gay, fled from her wish, and yet said, Now I may. She that being angered hath revenge being nigh, bade her wrong stay, and her displeasure fly. She that in wisdom ne'er was so frail, to change the cod's head for the salmon's tail. She that could think and ne'er disclose her mind, see suitors following and not look behind. She was a wight, if e'er such wight were, to do what? To suckle fools and chronicle small beer. Oh, most lame and impotent conclusion! Do not learn of him, Amelia, though he be thy husband. How say you, Cassio? Is he not a most profane and liberal counsellor? He speaks home, madam. You may relish him more in the soldier than in the scholar. Cassio takes Desdemona's hand. He takes her by the palm. Ay, well said, Whisper. With as little a web as this will I enmesh as great a fly as Cassio. With a little gesture like that, he will plant the seeds of suspicious, jealous doubt in Othello's mind that there is something untoward about the dynamic and relationship between Cassio and Desdemona, despite the fact that Cassio is simply being a gentleman. Ay, smile upon her, do. I will give thee in thine own courtship, jive thee, excuse me. You say true, 'tis so indeed. If such tricks as these strip you out of your lieutenantry, if I get your job out of this, it had been better you had not kissed your 3 fingers so oft. Kissing your 3 fingers, a gesture of being polite in Italy, as opposed to biting your thumb at somebody in Italy, which to this day is extremely derogatory and like flipping the V's or putting 2 fingers up. which now again you are most apt to play the sir in. Very good. Well kissed and excellent courtesy. 'Tis so indeed. So Iago isn't speaking in verse or pentameter when he is plotting in an aside that's for the benefit of the audience that's not heard by the other characters, or indeed when he's being uncouth. Yet again your fingers to your lips. Would they were cloister pipes for your sake. He likes a lewd or dirty, disgusting physical function bit of imagery in his language. Cloister pipes, tubes that one inserts up one's rectum to perform an enema. The Moor! I know his trumpet. 'Tis truly so. Oh, let's meet him and receive him. Lo, where he comes! Oh, my fair warrior! He uses this semantic field to imply a woman that he respects, not something that will sit well with Iago. My dear Othello, it gives me wonder great as my content to see you here before me. Oh, my soul's joy, if after every tempest comes such calms, may the winds blow till they have wakened death, and let the labouring bark climb hills of seas, the bark, the wood, the ship, Olympus high and duck again as low as hell's from hen. If it were not to die, 'twere now to be most happy, for I fear my soul hath her content so absolute that not another comfort like to this succeeds in unknown fate. The heavens forbid but that our loves and comforts should increase, even as our days do grow. Amen to that, sweet powers. I cannot speak enough of this content. It stops me here. It is too much of joy. And this, the greatest discords be that e'er our hearts shall make. Oh, you are well tuned now, but I'll set down the pegs that make this music as honest as I am. Here, Iago talks of musical strings, twisting the pegs and tightening the strings to tune an instrument. He wants to orchestrate these characters like they are puppets on a string. Come, let us to the castle. News, friends, our wars are done. The Turks are drowned. How does my old acquaintance of this isle? Honey, you shall be well desired in Cyprus. I have found great love amongst them. Oh, my sweet, I prattle out of fashion, and I dote in my own comforts. I prithee, good Iago, go to the bay and disembark my coffers. Bring thou the master to the citadel. He is a good one, and his worthiness doth challenge much respect. Come, Desdemona, once more well met at Cyprus. All go but Iago and Roderigo. Iago, speaking to a departing attendant, do thou meet me presently at the harbour. And then to Roderigo, come hither, if thou be'st valiant, as they say, base men being in love have then a nobility in their natures more than is native to them. List me, the lieutenant tonight watches on the court of guard. First, I must tell thee this. Desdemona is directly in love with him. A direct lie on the part of Iago. He's saying that Desdemona is in love with Cassio. He's riling Roderigo up to get him to intervene and attack Cassio in a way that will ruin Cassio's reputation through an overreaction. With him? Why, 'tis not possible. Lay thy finger thus, and let thy soul be instructed. Mark me with what violence she first loved the more, but for bragging and telling her fantastical lies, and will she love him still for prating? Let not thy discreet heart think it. Her eye must be fed. And what delight shall she have to look on the devil? When the blood is made dull with the act of sport, there should be, again, to inflame it, and to give satiety, to satiate, to sexually satisfy, a fresh appetite, loveliness in favour, sympathy in years, manners, and beauties, all which the Moor is defective in. He's black, he's old, he doesn't have good manners, he's not well spoken, she's going to move on. No, she's not, she's got moral fibre. Iago does not. Now, for want of these required conveniences, her delicate tenderness will find itself abused, begin to heave the gorge, disrelish and abhor, hate, loathe the more. Very nature will instruct her in it and compel her to some second choice. Now, sir, this granted, take my assumption as word, as it is a most pregnant and unforced position, who stands so eminent in the degrees this fortune as Cassio does. A knave very voluble, no further conchable than in putting on the mere form of civil and humane seeming for the better compassing of his salt and most hidden loose affection. Why, none. Why, none. A slipper and a subtle knave, a finder out of occasions, that has an eye, can stamp and counterfeit advantages, though true advantage never present itself. A devilish knave. Besides, the knave is handsome, young, and hath all those requisites in him that folly and green minds look after. A pestilent, complete knave. He is a villainous creep who is like a poison, he says of Cassio, quite wrongly, and the woman hath found him already. I cannot believe that in her. She's full of most blessed condition. Blessed fig's end! The wine she drinks is made of grapes. If she hath been blessed, she would never have loved them more. Blessed pudding! Didst thou not see her paddle with the palm of his hand? Didst not mark that? Yes, I did, but that was just courtesy. Lechery by his hand, an index and obscure prologue to the history of lust and foul thoughts. One thing leads to another is his argument here, and that it becomes sexual. They met so near with their lips and their breaths embraced together. Villainous thoughts, Roderigo. When these mutualities so marshal the way, hard at hand comes the master and main exercise, the incorporate conclusion. Pish! But, sir, be you ruled by me? I have brought you from Venice. Watch you tonight. For the command, I'll lay it upon you. Cassio knows you not. I'll not be far from you. Do you find some occasion to anger Cassio, either by speaking too loud, or tainting his discipline, or from what other cause you please, which the time shall be more favourably minister? Well, sir, he's rash, and very sudden in choler. He's very quick to anger. And haply may strike at you. Provoke him that he may, for even out of that will I cause these of Cyprus to mutiny, whose qualification shall come into no true taste again, but by the displanting of Cassio. So shall you have a shorter journey to your desires, by the means I shall then have to prefer them, and the impediment most profitable, removed, without which there were no expectation of your prosperity. I will do this, if you can bring it to any opportunity. I warrant thee. Meet me by and by at the citadel. I must fetch his necessities ashore. Farewell. Adieu. So Iago's plan: get Cassio drunk. Rodrigo provokes Cassio to anger. A fight ensues, and this either gets Cassio killed or, more favourably, gets him sacked so that Iago gains the lieutenant position. That Cassio loves her, I do well believe it. Here we are in Iago's second soliloquy. That she loves him, 'tis apt and of great credit. The more, howbeit that I endure him not, is of a constant, loving, noble nature. He has heroic moral qualities, and I dare think he'll prove to Desdemona a most dear husband. Now I do love her too, not out of absolute lust, though peradventure I stand accountant for as great a sin, but partly led to diet my revenge, that I do suspect the lusty Moor hath leapt into my seat. He asserts a second time that Othello hath allegedly done his office between his sheets, had sexual relations with Amelia. Unproven. Iago is something of a voyeur, a pornographer, if you will, whereby he can't get his mind out of the gutter, thinking of everything in sexual terms as opposed to actual love, a real relationship and respectful dynamic between man and woman. I do suspect the lusty Moor hath leapt my seat, the thought whereof doth, like a poisonous mineral, gnaw my innards, and nothing can or shall content my soul till I am enevened with him, wife for wife. Or, failing so, yet I put the Moor at least into jealousy so strong that judgment cannot cure. So in Cinthio's On Capitano Moro, the play that inspired Shakespeare for Othello, Iago is motivated more traditionally by a sexual desire for Desdemona. Here he would like to use her, but only as a tool of revenge. Or failing that, to drive Othello mad through jealousy. Which thing to do, if this poor trash of Venice, whom I trace for his quick hunting, stand the putting on, I'll have our Michael Cassio on the hip, abuse him to the Moor in the rank garb, for I fear Cassio with my nightcap too, killing two birds with one stone. Make the Moor thank me, love me, reward me for making him egregiously an ass, and practising upon his peace and quiet, even to madness. 'Tis here, but yet confused. Knavery's plain face is never seen till used. In scene 2, Othello's herald comes in with a proclamation. It is Othello's pleasure, our noble and valiant general, that upon certain tidings now arrived, importing the mere perdition of the Turkish fleet, every man put himself into triumph. Some to dance, some to make bonfires, each man to what sport and revels his addition leads him. For besides these beneficial news, it is the celebration of his nuptial. So much was his pleasure should be proclaimed, all offices are open, and there is full liberty of feasting from this present hour till 5 the bell have tolled 11. Heaven bless the Isle of Cyprus and our noble General Othello. So there's to be a party to celebrate Othello and Desdemona's wedding. Scene 3. Othello, Desdemona, Cassio in attendance. Good Michael, look you to the guard tonight. Let's teach ourselves that honourable stop not to outsport discretion. Iago hath direction what to do, but notwithstanding, with my personal eye will I look to it. Even though there's a party, Cassio will be the one to observe duty and be on guard. Iago is most honest. Michael, good night. Tomorrow, with your earliest, let me have speech with you. Come, my dear love, the purchase made, the fruits to ensue, that profit's yet to come tween me and you. Good night. There's still yet to consummate the marriage. Whilst Cassio is dutiful, Iago intends to get him drunk. Welcome, Iago. We must to the watch. Not this hour, Lieutenant. 'Tis not e'en 10 o' the clock. Our general cast us thus early for the love of his Desdemona, who let us not therefore blame. He hath not yet made wanton the night with her, and she is sport for Jove. Iago always reduces things to sexual crudity. Jove, king of the gods, was known for sexual prowess. Cassio, conversely, in saying she is a most exquisite lady, says something much more gentlemanly and positive about her. Aye, I'll warrant her full of game. Indeed, she is a most fresh and delicate creature. What an eye she has! Methinks it sounds a parley to provocation. An inviting eye, and yet methinks right modest. And when she speaks, is it not an alarum to love? She is indeed perfection. Notice this stark dichotomy between the two men. One is a gentleman, one is a pervert. Well, happiness to their sheets. He reduces it evermore to merely the sexual. Come, Lieutenant, I have a stoup of wine, and here without are a brace of Cyprus gallants that would fain have a measure to the health of black Othello. Not tonight, good Othello, good Iago. I have very poor and unhappy brains for drinking. I could well wish a courtesy some would invent some other custom of entertainment. Oh, they are our friends, but 1 cup. I'll drink for you. I have drunk but 1 cup tonight, and that was craftily qualified too. And behold what innovation it makes here. I am unfortunate in the infirmity, and dare not task my weakness with any more. What, man? 'Tis a night of revels, of partying. The gallants desire it. Where are they? Here at the door. I pray you, call them in. I'll do it, but it dislikes me. If I can fasten but 1 cup upon him, with that which he hath drunk tonight already, he'll be as full of quarrel and offence as my young mistress' dog. Now, my sick fool Rodrigo, whom love hath turned, love, almost the wrong side out, to Desdemona, hath tonight caroused potations pottle deep, and he's to watch. 3 else of Cyprus, noble swelling spirits that hold their honours in a wary distance, the very elements of this warlike isle, have I tonight flustered with flowing cups, and they watch too. Now, amongst this flock of drunkards? Am I to put our Cassio in some action that may offend the isle? But here they come. If consequence do but approve my dream, my boat sails freely, both with wind and stream. In comes Cassio with Montano and gentlemen, followed by servants with wine. For God, they have given me a rouse already. Good faith, a little one, not past a pint, as I am a soldier. Some wine, ho! Let me the cannikin clink, clink, and let me the cannikin clink. A soldier's a man, oh man's life but a span, and why then let a soldier drink? Some wine, boys, ho! For God, an excellent song! I learned it in England, where indeed they are most potent in potting. There's a bit of comic relief for the groundlings in Shakespeare's Globe. The British are good at holding their drink. You Dane, you German, and you swag-bellied Hollander, drink, ho! They are nothing to your English. Is your Englishman so exquisite in his drinking? Why, he drinks you with facility. Your Dane dread drunk. He sweats not to overthrow your Almain. He gives your Hollander a vomit ere the next pottle can be filled. To the health of our general. I'm for it, Lieutenant, and I'll do you justice. Oh, sweet England! King Stephen was and a worthy peer, his breeches cost him but a crown. He held them sixpence all too dear, with that he called the tailor lown. He was a wight of high renown, and thou art but of low degree. 'Tis pride that pulls the country down, then take thy old cloak about thee. Some wine, ho! For God, it is a most exquisite song than the other. Will you hear it again? No, for I hold him to be unworthy of this place that does those things. Well, God's above all, and there must be some souls be saved, and there be souls must not be saved. If it's making little to make sense for you, it's meant to. He's getting drunk. For all you know, they could be pulling their trousers down and carrying on with their daft songs, getting into a scuffle. It's true, good lieutenant. For mine own part, no offence to the general, or any man of quality, I hope to be saved. And so do I too, lieutenant. Note the repetition of the title that he so enviously resents. That kind of patterning is a good way into analysis in a short piece, should you need it economically in an exam. Aye, but, by your leave, not before me. The lieutenant is to be saved before the ancient. Let's have no more of this. Let's to our affairs. God forgive us our sins. Gentlemen, let's look to our business. Do not think, gentlemen, I am drunk. This is my ancient. This is my right hand, he says, raising his left, and this is my left, he says, raising his right. I am not drunk now. I can stand well enough. I can speak well enough. Excellent well. Why, very well then. You must not then think that I am drunk. To the platform, masters, come. Let's to the watch. You see this fellow that is gone before? He's a soldier fit to stand by Caesar and give direction, and do but see his vice. 'Tis to his virtue a just equinox, the one as long as the other. 'Tis pity of him. I fear the trust Othello puts in him. On some old time of his in some odd time of his infirmity will shake this island. So Iago fakes to Montano here that he is doubtful of Cassio's capabilities because he's oft drunk. Is he often thus? 'Tis evermore the prologue, the precursor, the thing before his sleep. He'll watch the orologue, a double set, if drink rock not his cradle. It were well the general were put in mind of it. Perhaps he sees it not, or his good nature prizes the virtue that appears in Cassio, and not looks on his evils. Is not this true? How now, good Rodrigo, I pray you, after the lieutenant, go! Excuse me, that's supposed to be an aside, so how now, Rodrigo, I pray you, after the lieutenant, go! And 'tis great pity that the noble Moor should hazard such a place as his own second with one of an engraft infirmity, somebody who gets drunk and doesn't deserve the job. It were an honest action to say so to the Moor. Not I. Not for this fair island. I do love Cassio well, and I would do much to cure him of this evil. Help! Help! But hark! What noise? Zoons! You rogue! You rascal! What's the matter, Lieutenant? A knave! Teach me my duty. I'll beat the knave into a twig and bottle. Beat me? Thou dost prate, rogue. Nay, good lieutenant, I pray you, sir, hold your hand. Let me go, sir, or I'll knock you over the mazzard. Come, you're drunk. Drunk? Oh, away, I say. Go out and cry a mutiny. Nay, good lieutenant, God's will, gentlemen, help, ho! Lieutenant, sir, Montano, sir! Help, masters! There's a goodly watch indeed. Who's that which rings the bell? Diabolo! Devil. Ho! The town will rise. God's will, lieutenant. Hold! You will be shamed forever. What's the matter here? Zoons, I bleed still. I am hurt to the death. He dies. Hold for your lives. Hold, ho, lieutenant, sir, Montano, gentlemen. Have you forgot all sense of place and duty? Hold! The general speaks to you. Hold for shame. Why, how now, ho? From whence ariseth this? Are we turned Turks, and to ourselves do that which heaven hath forbid the Ottomites? For Christian shame, put up by this barbarous brawl. He that stirs next to carve for his own rage, hold his soul tonight. He dies upon his motion. Silence that dreadful bell! It frights the isle from her propriety. What is the matter, masters? Honest Iago, that looks dead with grieving, speak. Who began this? On thy love I charge thee. I do not know. Friends all but now, e'en now. In quarter and in terms like bride and groom, divesting them for bed. And then, but now, as if some planet hath unwitted men, swords out and tilting at one another's breast, in opposition bloody. I cannot speak any beginning to this peevish odds, and would in action glorious had I lost those legs that brought me into part of it. How comes it, Michael? Are you thus forgot? I pray you pardon me, I cannot speak. Worthy Montano, you were wont be civil. The gravity and stillness of your youth the world hath noted. and your name is great in mouths of wisest censure. What's the matter that you unlace your reputation thus, and spend your rich opinion for name of the night brawler? Give me answer to it.
Worthy Othello, I am hurt to danger. Your officer, Iago, can inform you.
Montano can't speak because he's bleeding out and close to death.
Iago can inform you while I spare speech, which something now offends me, of all that I do know, nor know I aught by me that's said or done amiss this night, unless self-charity be sometimes a vice. And to defend ourselves is to be a sin, what violence assails us. He says he's done nothing wrong to offend anyone and doesn't know how this violence came about. Now, by heaven, my blood begins my safer guides to rule, and passion, having my best judgment collied, essays to lead the way. Zoons! If I stir or do but lift this arm, the best of you shall sink in my rebuke. Give me to know how this foul rout began, who set it on, and he that is approved in this offence, though he had twinned with me, both at birth, shall lose me. What, in a town of war, yet wild, with people's hearts brimful of fear, to manage private and domestic quarrel, in night and on the court and guard of safety? 'Tis monstrous! Iago, who began it? If partly a find or leagued in office, thou dost deliver more or less the truth. Thou art no soldier.
Touch me not so near. I had rather have this tongue cut from my mouth than it should do offence to Michael Cassio. The ultimate in dramatic irony of knowing he is lying. He wants to do offence to Cassio. Yet I persuade myself to speak the truth, shall nothing wrong him. Thus it is, General. Montano and myself being in speech, there comes Othello crying out for help, and Cassio following him with determined sword to execute upon him. Sir, this gentleman, he points at Montano, steps in to Cassio and entreats his pause. Myself, the crying fellow, did pursue, lest by his clamour, as it so fell out, the town might fall in fright. He, swift of foot, outran my purpose. He is faking not knowing who it was when it was in fact Rodrigo, and he's faking some of this pursuit too. And I returned the rather, for that I heard the clink and fall of swords, and Cassio high in oath, which till to-night I ne'er might say before. When I came back, for this was brief, I found them together at blow and thrust, even as again they were when you yourself did part them. More of this matter I cannot report. But men are men, the best sometimes forget, though Cassio did some little wrong to him, as men in rage strike those that wish the best. Yet surely Cassio, I believe, received from him that fled some strange indignity, which patience could not pass. He must have been riled up by an extreme offence. I know, Iago, thy honesty and love doth mince this matter, making it light on Cassio. You're holding back on Cassio. Cassio, I love thee, but never more be officer of mine. He's been dismissed. Look, if my gentle love be not raised up, I'll make thee an example. What is the matter, dear? All's well now, sweeting. Come away to bed. Sir, for your hurts, myself will be your surgeon. Lead him off. Iago, look with care about the town, and silence those whom this vile brawl distracted. Come, Desdemona, 'tis the soldier's life to have their balmy slumbers waked with strife. Everyone but Iago and Cassio depart. What, are you hurt, Lieutenant? Aye, past all surgery. Marry, God forbid, he thinks he has a physical wound. Reputation. 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 Oh, I have lost my reputation. I have lost the immortal part of myself, and what remains is bestial. My reputation, Iago. My reputation. As I am an honest man, I thought you had received some bodily wound. There is more sense in that than reputation. Reputation is an idle and most false imposition, oft got without merit and lost without deserving. This pair of quotations, for me, is the pivotal key quotation of the play. Reputation is a key theme. Cassio triplicates it like a curse. It is immortal because, having worked his whole life for a good reputation, with one wrong move, it's lost forever. And he will be forever remembered for the one bad thing, despite being worthy of praise for many good things. And what remains is bestial. In the Jacobean Renaissance concept of the medieval chain of being, the hierarchy goes from God to angel, man, woman, animal, plant, mineral, etc. The difference being that, having descended from man to beast, he has lost his soul. He has lost his ticket to entry to heaven. That's an example of needing to analytically engage with AO3 socio-historic context. In the most stark example of dramatic irony one could ever find in literature, reputation is an idle and false imposition. Some people gain their reputation without merit, as in Iago. Others lose it without deserving, as in Cassio. Cassio is reduced to animal status. Iago argues with great dramatic irony, given that he orchestrated the loss of reputation that Cassio has suffered. People's positive reputations are often undeserved. Their popularity or whatever it is that they've gained might be quickly lost without deserving. You have lost no reputation at all unless you repute yourself such a loser. In other words, don't worry what other people think. You know the real truth. Good advice. What, man? There are ways to recover the general again. You are but now cast in his mood, a punishment more in policy than in malice. Even so, as one would beat his offenceless dog to affright an imperious lion. Sue him again, and he's yours. He's just making a brief example of you. I will rather sue to be despised than to deceive so good a commander with so slight, so drunken, and so indiscreet an officer. Drunk, and speak parrot, and squabble, swagger, swear, and discourse fustian with one's own shadow. O thou invisible spirit of wine, if thou hast no name to be known, let us call thee Devil. What was he that you followeth with your sword? What had he done to you? I know not. Is't possible? I remember a mass of things, but nothing distinctly. A quarrel, but nothing whereof. Oh, God, that men should put an enemy in their mouths to steal away their brains. He's blaming the wine. That we should, with joy, pleasance, revel, and applause, transform ourselves into beasts. Why, but you are now well enough. How come you thus recovered? It hath pleased the devil drunkenness to give place to the devil wrath. The trauma, the shock the adrenaline has given him sobriety. One unperfectness shows me another to make me frankly despise myself. Come, you are too severe a moraler. He's got morals, Iago hasn't. As the time, the place, and the condition of this country stands, I could heartily wish this had not so befallen, but since it has, mend it for your own good. I will ask him for my place again. He shall tell me I am a drunkard. Had I as many mouths as Hydra, the many-headed, snake-headed monster, such an answer would stop them all. I could say, please give me my job back again and again and again and again and again, and I wouldn't get the answer I wanted. To be now a sensible man, by and by a fool, and presently a beast. Oh, strange! Every inordinate cup is unblessed, and the ingredient is a devil. Oh, come, good wine is a good familiar creature, if it be well used. Exclaim no more against it. Don't blame other people, blame yourself. And, good lieutenant, I think you think I love you. I have well approved it, sir. I, drunk! You or any man living may be drunk at a time, man. I'll tell you what you shall do. Our general's wife is now the general. I may say so in this respect, for that he hath devoted and given up himself to the contemplation, mark, and denotement of her parts and graces. Confess yourself freely to her, importune her to help to put you in your place again. Iago deceitfully advises Cassio to ask Desdemona for help, in order that he can gently point out to Othello and make it seem to Othello that Cassio's too close to Desdemona, and that Desdemona is too keen to help Cassio, fanning the flames of his jealousy that there may be infidelity. She is of so free, so kind, so apt, so blessed a disposition, she holds it a vice in her goodness not to do more than she is requested. This broken joint between you and her husband entreat her to splinter. She'll bend over backwards to help you, and my fortunes against any lay worth naming. This crack of your love shall grow stronger than it was before. Oh, you advise me well. No, he doesn't. Don't be gullible. I protest in the sincerity of love and honest kindness. I think it freely, and betimes in the morning I will beseech the virtuous Desdemona to undertake for me. I'm desperate of my fortunes if they check me here. You are in the right. Good night, Lieutenant. I must to the watch. Good night, honest Iago. Again, honest. Dramatic irony. And so we get to Iago's third soliloquy. And what's he then that says I play the villain? When this advice is free, I give, and honest, probable to thinking, and indeed the course to win the more again. For 'tis more easy the inclining Desdemona to subdue in any honest suit. Ha! She's framed as fruitful as the free elements. And then for her to win the more, wert to renounce his baptism, all seals and symbols of redeemed sin, his soul is so enfettered to her love that she may make, unmake, do what she list, even as her appetite shall play the god with his weak function. How am I then a villain? How am I then a villain to counsel Cassio to this parallel course directly to his good? Divinity of hell, when devils will the blackest sins put on, they do suggest at first with heavenly shows, as I do now. For whiles this honest fool plies Desdemona to repair his fortune, and she pleads strongly to the Moor, I'll pour this pestilence into his ear. I will pour this weed killer, this poison, whisper poisons that plant jealousy in his mind, that she repeals him for her body's lust, and by how much she strives to do him good, she shall undo her credit with the Moor. So will I turn her virtue, her good nature, into pitch, into black tar, to make it seem evil sin, and out of her own goodness make the net that shall enmesh them all, like the spider web image used earlier in the play. Think whole play about economically using key quotations that develop patterns of imagery that help you quickly convey the themes dictated by whatever question arises. That's down to your good revision. How now, Rodrigo? I do follow here in the chase, not like a hound that hunts, but one that fills up the cry. My money is almost spent. I have been tonight exceedingly well cudgelled, hit over the head, and I think the issue will be I shall have so much experience for my pains, and so, with no money at all, and a little more wit, return again to Venice. How poor are they that have no patience? What wound did e'er heal but by degrees? Thou know'st we work by wit and not by witchcraft, and wit depends on dilatory time. Dost not go well? Cassio hath beaten thee, and thou, by that small hurt, hast cashiered Cassio. You've got one over on him, be patient. Though other things grow fair against the sun, yet fruits that blossom first will first be ripe. Content thyself a while. By the mass 'tis morning. Pleasure and action make the hours seem short. Retire thee. Go where thou art billeted. Away, I say! Thou shalt no more hereafter. Nay, get thee gone. And off Rodrigo staggers. 2 things are to be done. My wife must move for Cassio to her mistress. I'll set her on. I will get Emilia to tell Desdemona to help Cassio. Myself, the while, I will draw the Moor apart, and bring him jump when he may Cassio find soliciting his wife. I'll draw Othello away, I'll chat to him, and then I'll bring him back and time it right, so that when Othello arrives, he will see Cassio soliciting the help of Desdemona, and he'll be able to react and say, oh, I don't like the look of that, and plant the seed of doubt. Soliciting can have an innocent meaning, but more often, as a crime, it means trying to engage somebody sexually. Soliciting, trying to pick up a prostitute. So it will go on to have a much more distinct sexual connotation here. And so we reach the end of Act 2. As ever, hit up your A3 grids for key quotations. They need to be against choices of imagery, yes, because that's what helps your AO2 close language and how meaning is rendered analysis. That said, that use of motifs and patterns is to map onto your thematic AO1 argument, whichever is dictated by the question. Do this and it will be the most useful hard work now to help you ease your revision and argument and analysis later. Please hit like, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this with your mates via social media, and that bell icon will alert you to the next episode, episode 5, on Act 3. Finally, if you have any questions, by all means drop them in the comments below and I will endeavour to get back to them as soon as I possibly can. And if you want to add anything further to the analysis that we've done, refine a point that I've made, or add anything on bits and pieces of imagery that I have passed by on my way, by all means do so in the comments below.